Hey, thank you so much, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here. And Zoe Davenport was a beautiful opening to what I'm going to be speaking today, and that is the Royal Light Lines of Genetics and Stellar Navigation. And this is a beautiful picture of when we talk about the light body and we talk about stellar navigation, that these aspects are within our body, within our genetics. And how do we access them? How do we create more light through the light body? Where does that light really come from? And so we have an inherent light language inscribed in our bodies that we call DNA, and it's the divine natural access. That's my term for it, the divine natural access of our soul. It is the master ancestor, a quantum communication device, a soul communication device of cosmic intelligence, the inner intelligence, the inner tell of frequential tuning of past, present, and future frequencies in specific color frequencies, color coding of soul and body that have animation through the morphogenetic field of holocymatic DNA. And so what I mean by holocymatic DNA is that it's actually our DNA that is holocymatic. It actually is holographic and cymatic at the same time. And I know that a lot of us have really journeyed into cymatics, sound being made visible, voice being made visible. But this is the exact same thing, but it's with DNA. It is a sound and light as our genetics moving holocymatically and holographically in and out through dimensions. And so when we explore the stellar birthplaces of stars like the nebula in the high energy states that are fertile, womb-like, that birth matter, flowing ribbons of light start to happen, just like what this image is here. And I'm going to get really into this throughout the presentation. But if we were to bring royalty, the royal nature of what truly is happening here, our divine presence, the exalted presence of light as a garment within the body and around the body of a great intelligence of the universe. These are the royal light lines. They are genetic trails, branching, and familiar trees of life. We are going to follow these branches of our tree of life within our DNA, our genetic royal light lines, the inheritance structures of something that is hyperdimensional and is a living vortex flowing and folding the fabric of space and time. I'm describing these light vestiges as what your divine presence is wearing, and our infinite spectrums of color. And so through this conversation, I want to explore when we talk about the light body and we see these different types of frequencies of color, what is the frequencies of color? What do they mean? Where are they created in the body? Where do they live inside of us? This is a hyperdimensional part of our consciousness, and it changes at every single angle and at every moment and is never still. This is what we consider like those lucid states of consciousness, but they really come from hyperdimensions of our color and awareness of consciousness. So we're going to follow these royal lines of genetics because this is the language of constellations, the constructs of stellation, the act of stellating light. This is what the light body really is. And so how do we go into constant stellation of our body? What is happening when you're staring at the stars and at night and you're looking up at the stars and you notice that not only is there some type of like white light that is appearing from the stars, but a lot of times we see greens and yellows and blues. And so I want to talk a little bit about what that light really is, about being a pure essence of consciousness. It's not just about stars kind of moving and creating themselves or collapsing. This is about an essence of the purity of consciousness as light coming through different planes of existence, traveling through the universe, creating basic star maps. And so each color frequency is a creation of frequency. And I'm sorry, each color is a frequency of creation. And this is a palette, a frequential coding of the purest consciousness to become sentient matter, sentient beings, and to become form. And so, what colors have we been exposed to most of the time? We've been exposed a lot to marketing and branding, and they have mapped out what colors can make you buy things and do things. And um, we've you learned a lot when you were in school about the rainbow, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. But in between all of those colors, there are infinite array of colors in the light spectrum and in the dark spectrum. So spectrums of light that you can see with the visual aspects of your eyes, and then a set of, say, spectrums of color that you can see in the dark, where there is more of a bioluminescence that starts happening when you start to close your eyes and you move more into dark spaces. There's a whole adjustment of colors that start happening. So our eyes have become set to a certain palette of colors, and uh, we we have all kinds of cellular eyes within their body, and they're tuned to all different kinds of colors and cosmic phenomena. So our bodies, through the intelligence of connection, know when stars are born, when they are morphing, when nebulas come together. We have cellular structures within the body that are tuned to all of that information because it's a part of creation, and this is a part of like the quantum messaging that happens between the genetic structures and our consciousness and the fields around us. These cells are creating infinite color frequencies and color patterns that are creating refractionary lines, rays of light that are bending light, creating interdimensional and multidimensional patterns of geometries. These patterns are forms and structures of our consciousness. So last month I did a talk about the mitochondrial DNA here on Portal to Ascension, and I really went into how we have what science calls mitochondrial DNA, and I believe that there's a spell on that word, and so I don't use that word. I use the mitochondrial DNA, and it is basically the the full consciousness of being able to create matter. So CHON means carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, and so we are able to dial the alchemical process of these elements in order to create matter through the access of our consciousness. And so this brings forth illumination, animation, and form. We think that the mitochondrial DNA, or that light comes from outside of us in, and it has been my experience that that the true source of our light comes from in us out. And this is where the mitochondrial DNA comes in, is that I believe it is the true source of light within our body. And that every aspect of our cellular structure from the mitochondrial DNA are aspects of stellation of our consciousness. Just like the appearance of sun in the solar system, our cells have its own suns. Through the mitochondrial DNA understanding, this is our source of our illumination. Within the mitochondrial DNA are chromosomes. And we learned a lot in school about what chromosomes are, but I have a different take after spending almost 9 years with DNA. And so chromosomes to me are, each of these chromosomes have structures of color palettes inside of them, and that they're already creating the sequences of genes that give large, more complex structures to our physical form, the illumination, animation of our body, organs, and the appearance of our light body. The light body is an axis of multi-dimensions in and around our physical body that are connecting dimensional structures of our chromosomes. And I know that's a lot, but if you just hear me out for a moment, this is the ribbons of light, the rays of light from one of our cellular suns. Just the beauty of the complexity that we are and the great technology that we are. So we're led to believe that mitochondria are actually still, and they're not. They're morphing. This is part of our morphogenetics. This is actually an image of mitochondria morphing, creating all kinds of different forms within the cells. And the incredible light that they create already. And we've been led to believe that we need oxygen and food in order to for our mitochondrial DNA to come in and create energy, but that is not true. And I have a ton of scientific research where we have been creating energy before that even happened. That we were creating a lot of our own nutrition. We were creating a lot of our vitamins, vitamin C specifically, and that we had a different type of oxygen content at one time through our bodies. And so when you look at the chromosomal structures, there's zones of color. That's what this is really about. This infinite array of color spectrums that are happening through our body that we're creating with all the time, but they are the creationary elements of structure and form. It's light, sound, and geometry. This is an aspect of that. And so here's some beautiful chromosomal structures, and you can see all of these different types of light, but we kind of see this picture, and within those cellular structures, with those chromosomal structures, it's like little bands of light that keep bending and refractionary each other, and in that they create all types of geometries, and they create bigger geometries within the field of the chromosomal structures. This is how we get gene sequences, but it's so much deeper than that. It is about our light body. It is about our consciousness moving through our body as a divine technology. And so this light within the chromosomal structures is a beautiful palette of consciousness that we're creating, animating, illuminating through our body, and it's shining into crystals, are the crystalline structure. We talk so much about the light body and the crystals in our body, and it's like this is how it's happening. It's our time to give this to people so they truly can connect with it and understand it. It's one thing to say light body and to talk about crystals, but this is truly how it's happening. So there's an elegant system here of light and crystals that are creating intricate refraction patterns that are like little branches, like a net of light through the body and the cosmos and the universe. Through this divine connection, we start to understand how quantum we can be, and we are, through the connections of the field fabric of the body. We have quantum access. The mitochondrial DNA aspects of the womb and the uterus create an incredible toroidal field. And there are aspects within the womb, like the fundus. I talked about the fundus last time. I'm just going to touch on it again. Is a disc at the top of the womb. We have them in the back of our eyes, and we have them in several aspects of our organs that actually create like a dome, like a television screen, like a satellite within aspects of our body that then bounce light around and create a projected form inside of that area. So they bounce light, they refract light, patterns open up, and dialing a mechanism, a portal, a stargate for exalted states of consciousness to move through us. Our exalted states of consciousness, the deeper aspects of our soul, the highest aspects of ourself, don't come from above, they come from within. We are creating the constellations and the stellations of our genetics as star maps of consciousness. And the mitochondrial DNA was a set of genetics, our genetic inheritance that was meant to be passed with us in integrity from mother to child with all of these genetic star maps. so that we can be able to create matter in all its forms, in all dimensions, and have all of the alchemy within us. And so this is a picture of the fundus, that dome that I was talking about, that's basically like the ability to project an image inside the womb. And then here's an image of the golden ratio of the uterus. And I wanted to show you an image of how light actually refracts around, reflects, bends, and creates geometries and opens portals for these exalted states of consciousness within the body. And every cell is doing this. And so this, again, is the chromosomal structures coming together, all starting to move in these intricate patterns through the body. And so I have talked a lot about the incredible aspect of this dialing mechanism and portal through our body, and that our bodies are creating the constellations. And I was asking myself, how are we doing that, right? There's mechanisms here already within our genetic structures, within our consciousness. When we ask, we get the answers. And so I was led to astrocyte stellation. And so astrocytes are recognized as a type of cell in the nervous system that have all kinds of shapes, but the most recognized shape is a star with dendrites and rays pointing out that change shape. Think of them as sources of light or a mycelial network with growth that increases surface area of the nervous system. One role of the astrocytes is to maintain homeostasis in the nervous system and the body, regulating neurotransmitters. It's a kind of gatekeeper between the brain and the blood barrier. But there is a science that is imaging and photographing astrocytes during stellation, a feature of them growing different arms and appendages and changing shape. To look at an image of an astrocyte is to look into a multidimensional space with high surface area, like looking at a star map. And again, these are the star maps that are in our body. They're in our brains. They're in our cells. They're their DNA structures. And so this is another image of the astrocytes. And the morphological changes of the astrocytes, the stellation. A group of astrocyte stellation in our bodies is very much like a group of constellations. And I would say it is the constellations, the constant stellation of reality and matter, brain structures, and a neural network in space the size of galactic clusters. When imaging astrocyte stellation, they look like living plasma fields. Mycelia organizations, collectives of consciousness, and civilizations of genetics. There is such a thing as astrocyte scarring, and this leads to me to believe that when we have scarring within trauma within the body and brain, this is like one of the mechanisms that keep us kind of trapped in non-healing cycles or in healing cycles. The creation of the light body through the mitochondrial DNA, the source of light, the animation of that through the body and through the brain is the reconnection of that network for us to create matter into form, to create reality around us, to unfold reality around us. The stellation of our minds and our bodies together. When we see stars and planets, these are bodies of consciousness. They are point clouds of a larger consciousness. Each of these star forms creates stellar patterns for us as us to move through like stargates. We are dialing stargates with the light of our consciousness. Life and organic presence, synesthetic experiences, ethnogenetic evolution of our body, mind consciousness as a creative direction of organic technology. I give these talks as a way to tell people how incredible their consciousness is through their body, the embodiment of their soul. And to ask people to approach their bodies as the most advanced, elegant technology that there is. You are the telescopes, you are the microscopes, you are the spaceships. And you can train your body to see these in different ways with different frequencies to have an expansion of bandwidth, like what is described in plant medicines or shamanism, indigenous tribes that have practices of light, color, and geometrical realities. This is an amplification of cell variety, your ability to hear color, to see shapes that would normally not be able to. We call that sensorial access. It's the access of your soul, your senses, your multidimensional soul senses to describe larger collectives of realities. Those who are seeking innerverse exploration, mind and body, you can create technologies, shapes, building cities that bring the cosmos closer the way the light ship would. We talk a lot about the creation of ourselves through science, but this is like a psi essence. It is the consciousness essence that is real science, the divine sciences of the animation of your body, your light body, your soul through this body, and the abilities that you have, your superpowers, are all encoded within your DNA. When we can communicate from this place, there is a light communion of DNA with every planet, star, plant, and animal. It is total coherence. When we talk about contact, this is the type of contact that allows us, this coherence allows us to have that type of multidimensional contact with other types of beings. And it is through the coherence of our consciousness through our body and the genetic frequential tuning to be able to have coherent communication. It opens corridors, basically, of space and time, like radio waves of connection to have telepathic communication. In order to teleport between dimensions or to become an expansive, accelerated, amplified version of ourselves as DNA, we would go through genetic portals. Our portals are already in us genetically. We just have to access them. We have the stargates. They're in our body. They're in our DNA. And that we consciously facilitate these transformations. Instead of waiting for technology or waiting for people to tell you about ascension, your ascension is designed by your consciousness. This is an alchemy of consciousness as light, as stellation. This is how we traverse the royal lines of genetics. The royal lines, the purest essence of frequencies coding of God consciousness, the immaculate concept of all forms of divine love is the formation of our genetics. It is our birthright and our cosmic inheritance, our galactic inheritance. It is the incredible infinite instruction set of all form and life. This is the immaculate concept of communion, harmony, balance as the genetics of bliss and the infinite intelligence of synchronistically create perfection creation. Okay. And so I know I've shared a lot in this complexity of stellation through the body and in all of these ways that we are dialing portals through our genetics and through our body and creating the stellation, the brain body maps for us to move through interdimensional and multidimensional membranes. And I talked a lot about the chromosomal structures and these palettes of colors that are happening through the chromosomes. And what I would like to do today is, in the end, is to go through a little bit of accessing the color from the mitochondrial DNA, and uh, bring in dimensional fields of color around us to stabilize what I'm connecting on. And the intention I would really love is that the mitochondrial DNA is that we're all able to access that information from our genetics, and that the star maps be open to us and the alignments happen. And also for that deep contact. I know many of you want to have contact. And for me, contact had happened through my body. It happened through the tuning of my DNA, through the coherence of my soul through this body. And then I had access to all types of genetics, not just human genetics, all types of genetics. And I was able to hear and listen and see, communicate, commune with all of these aspects.